Hello and welcome to day 4 of the Rise Pico World Summit 2025. This is the 12th edition of a very unique convening of thought leaders, practitioners, learners, and the spectrum in between. What is uncommon about all of them is the spirit to collaborate for the greater good. And what is common about them is the belief in the RISE values: responsible, inclusive, sustainable, and ecosystem friendly, as you just saw in the video. The summit got off to a resounding start 3 days ago, and we will see over 100 sessions co-created and co-located in multiple cities with almost the same number of partners and over 200 experts from around the globe for a community that is now 9,000 strong from over 83 countries. We hope you will explore the platform throughout the week. Welcome also to a very special roundtable on innovation, collaboration, and CSR, transforming India's public education, focusing on leveraging innovation, collaboration, and CSR, of course, to enhance quality education in public schools. This is being co-hosted by Vibha, India, who has been a long-standing partner at the Rise Pico World Summit. Vibha is a leading social impact organization dedicated to transforming public education and volunteer-driven. And to get us started, I am going to invite Ms. Ashwini Kumar, the CEO of Vibha, to please say a few words about Vibha and to take us forward on this conversation. Over to you, Ashwini.
Hey, thank you so much, Caron. I'm so excited to be here. I know Vibha and Rise World Summit, Idobro, and Rise Infinity Foundation have been partners over several years, and this is our third year of participating in Rise Pico World Summit. So we're very excited to be here. Thank you, Amit, our Director of CSR, for putting this together for Vibha. And I'd start off with who we are, right? Vibha is has been around for 32 years, and and over the 32 years we have realized that um, increasing learning levels and quality of education for children in India, especially from the disadvantaged communities, is not a single organization, single person task. We have to come together. It is a, 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 a mammoth of a problem and challenge that we're trying to solve. For example, if we take, there's 70% of the children who who attend school, who are 70% of all the students in India go to government schools. We have figured that out. We've also figured out that 70% of the children who attend government schools cannot read or read, write, or do math at their um, grade level. I know there are several studies that show that a grade 5 student cannot do math or do proper English or local language literacy, even at a grade 2 level. So this is a huge problem that we have, and we understand, and Vibha volunteers, our supporters, we all understand that if kids do not get foundational education in their early years, it is we're not setting them up for success. And over this 32 years, we have figured out that the most impact that we can make as a nonprofit is to partner with um, donors, volunteers, nonprofits who are actually on the ground, like our knowledge partners. And our biggest partners are the governments, because they are the only ones who can create the sustainable change that we need in 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 the world of education. And we are like Karen already mentioned, we started off in the US 32 years ago as a um, as a fundraising body. where we volunteers came together to fundraise. But over the years, we've figured out that we needed a team on the ground in India to actually knock on doors, create those partnerships, find solutions that work, and partner with the governments. And that's what we have done so far. Um, Vibha has created MOUs with multiple education departments directly or through our knowledge partners. We are in Delhi, we are in Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Nagaland, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Telangana. We are also present in Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, um, through our funding initiatives and programs. Just last year in 2024, Vibha impacted 1.9 million children. So we reached 1.9 million children just in 2024. And overall, since our existence, we have reached about 6.7 million children. So that's a huge number for an organization um, who who's you know has a small presence in India. We have a small but mighty team and a big volunteer base in the US. Our goal is also huge. We want to reach 2.5 million this year, right? And we are well on our way to do that through our partnerships. So our biggest strength has been partnerships, and we want to continue that. And the way we want to continue is talk to the CSRs, talk to the governments, and be that bridge between both of these huge entities, right? And we also have our own funding. We want to come together, and the conversation here today is going to help us set ourselves up for our future. Not only us, we're also inviting all the other partners here today in our conversation to also take away from the conversations we are going to have today, and hopefully build those partnerships and collaborations that we are looking for through this conversation. So thank you, Amit, and thank you, Karon, for this platform for Vibha to bring together all of these experts from eminent organizations to come together. And this is a great platform for us to look at the challenges and to look at the opportunities that we have in front of us. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ashwini. I think, as you rightly said, we have to talk about the challenges and the opportunities. And, before I invite my co-moderator, Mr. Amit Shekhar, who is the Senior Director, CSR at Vibha, to really talk about these experts, I just want to say one very small, quick thing. And, Ashwini, you've seen how we've done this before at all the roundtables, that it's a roundtable. It's not a panel, right? It's not presentations. It's really about sharing core ideas and experience, more from their personal element, but also from obviously the expertise and how we can kind of come together and exchange our ideas. So I just want to kind of remind all our experts that we really would like you to, look at how you can engage with each other. So while we'll have the primary speaker about one of the issues, we definitely would be happy to have anybody come in and bring in their perspective and add it so that it's really interactive, number one. Number two is I would encourage our entire audience, both here and on the platform, to please post questions or ask questions over there. We'll be very happy to see how we can answer them. Put your comments and feedback, because that's what's going to make this really interesting. And third and last but not the least, I should say, is the very fact that we are here to talk about three core aspects, starting with the challenges, which is what Ashwini just spoke about, but also talking about what are the capabilities, what's the solutions. We don't want to just cry about what's wrong, right? I mean, we want to find solutions, we want to move ahead. And we know that there is so much of innovation, so much of possibilities available, corporates who are taking up so much of the responsibility under CSR initiatives. So there is very positive outlook for us to change and move the needle. So we need to be positive. So talking about those capabilities, and last but not the least, we can't work in silos. We've got to collaborate. So collaboration. So I think capabilities, challenges, and then challenges, capabilities, and then of course, collaboration. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Amit to please come and introduce our key experts who are going to lead us through this. Yes, please, over to Amit.
Firstly, thanks, Karen and Ashwini, for setting the tone of this roundtable. And I would like to mention one thing about Ashwini that she is among those people who really taken Vibha, the movement in US in a very major way. And that's why we have been able to serve to so many people in India. And another thing about her that she has earned the President's Volunteer Service Award over there. So this is something which is really inspiring for us. And thanks, Aswini, for being such a great leader with Vibha. Uh, I'll be introducing our first speaker, first expert in this forum. And he comes with around 35 years of experience in social impact projects. And I know him personally also. So he has been mentor to many people, many professional in development sector and also in CSR. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Neeraj Lal, who heads the CSR of Arvind Limited, and he has in-depth understanding about a lot of issues of development sector, including education, livelihood, natural resources, and has been guide to many organization also. So privileged to have you, sir, here on this platform, and we would like to have your insight on the subject of quality public education in India, how we can really take it forward with collaboration, identifying the core issues and bringing innovation thereon. So, Neeraj, sir.
Uh, Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Vibha, and the organizers. This is a platform which needs to happen more often than it is happening. But as Ashwini rightly said right in the beginning, that education is not something that one organization can do anything. There are so many layers. There are so many complexities that happens. But if we fix up those complexity into a larger goal and make sure that that goal that we are fixing is simple enough. So keeping something simple is most difficult. We have been into education for close to 1.5 decades now. I'll share some of the experiences, but before that, let me put down the larger goal of education in present context, especially in a globalizing economy. Uh, in 1991, the India chose to be the part of the global economy, and a different struggle started from the socialistic pattern of society to an economy that will integrate to the world. And what does it mean to all of us, especially in India? In India, 93% of the land is rural. 93% of the land mass is rural, and in 7%, your about 30% of the population live. And 93% of the land, 70% of the population live. What does it mean? It means that there is huge gaps. The distances are very high. And in rural areas, most of your 70% population children are in government schools. Exactly what Ashwini said. Those are the schools where children are not completing education and we do not have data. I can only share with you our experience across rural and urban, and I will come to it in a little while of what we have done. Amit, feel free to stop me, otherwise I'll be speaking till tomorrow morning. Uh, uh, I'll have 5 minutes of time, Amit.
Yes, sir, you take your time.
Okay. So in public education, I believe in today's time when economies are integrating, if a child has not completed education, the child has no future. If we agree with this statement, for 99% of the lesser humans like us, this statement is true. There would be 1% people who, in spite of not having education, will do very well in life. Uh, so what does it mean completing education? Completing education, we have been talking until I came out with the word conversion ratio. The conversion ratio is that a child who has been enrolled in class 1, if there are 100 children enrolled in class 1, now 99.78% children are enrolled thanks to right to education, and every village, all 6.5 lakh villages having a primary school, everybody is enrolled. But how many of them reach up to class 12th? And if you don't reach over there, what is the future? That's one question that we should answer collectively. Second part is that if one is not completing, there is no very concrete data, but I believe almost about 25% are reaching out to that level. And Ashwini also talked about the quality of education. Larger corporates who have done studies, they say that only 1/3 of the engineers in India are employable. You're talking about engineers after class 12th and then going to 4 years of study, 1/3 of them only are employable. Now you leave aside all the people who would have passed class 12th and those kind of things. Superimpose the status of health now. The status of health is that it's improving. Our present life expectancy is around 69, 70 years, and it will increase in coming decades. As our economy is booming, we are fifth largest economy, and 3 years, 4 years down, 5 years down the line, we aim to be the third largest economy. And if those are the kind of things, we will have a lot of money to spend on public infrastructure. That's easy to spend because we are creating infrastructure. That's difficult because you are not creating soft infrastructure, right? So increase, if the lifespan is increasing and it goes to 80 years, if 17, 18 years, a child has not completed class 12 and not complete, leave aside, not completed education, schooling, for next about 62 years, we are leaving him to struggle. You are leaving that child to struggle. And that's something that breaks my heart. For 60 years of life, the child will be struggling. And that's where we all need to come together and ensure that we take an approach where we go deep and we ensure that the children we are working with, they don't struggle in future in a very, very globalizing economy. How would it happen? So let me share some of the experiences that we had. Arvind has a CSR framework through which we work on education, environment, and earning. These are the three themes. And themes without a timeline for a corporate has no value. So we have given a timeline perspective to themes and defined short-term, mid-term, and long-term. Okay. Short term being 3 years, mid-term being 6, 7 years, and long-term being over 7 years. Education is something that is not a project. None of Arvind's CSR programs are projects for 2 years, 3 years. We believe it takes 4, 5 years just to understand the community and children and parents and the stakeholders, teachers, school system, and all that. Now, if you do that and work on improving conversion ratio, some data says that hardly 25% of the children are completing class 12th. I don't want to subscribe to that, but if that is true, it means that 75% of the children are not completing their schooling. How do you improve? We have a program called Gyanada. That Gyanada program is a supplementary education program which handholds a child before and after school hours for 8 to 12 years. When the child is 10 years, we handhold that child till he becomes 18 or 20 and ensure that education to employment link is established and it is last generation in poverty. It is a collaborative program with the local government, municipal school board. Without government, you can't do. If anybody wants to do it individually, it will not happen, as Ashwini rightly said right in the beginning. So you require government to work. You need to work with teachers. We are doing that with municipal school teachers. There has to be a very strong framework of what to teach, how to teach, and how will you teach. What to teach is defined by the government in India now. It's pretty straitjacket. But how to teach has not been defined. And that how to teach is something that platform like these are good at, and they will be able to implement it all over. So this 8 to 12 years, we work with a child 2 hours every day, 200 days a year, 400 hours a year, and for 10 years, that is 4,000 hours. Once you look at 4,000 hours, if a child has come to you for 80% of its time, that is 3,200 hours, and you have not ensured conversion, then it is responsibility of the implementer rather than responsibility on the child. So this group, I believe it's very strongly, we all should look at our initiatives and say that even if we are working with 500 children, can we ensure that those children complete education and be the contributing citizens of the country, contribute to the GDP of the country, and contribute to this nation becoming a very contributing citizen, contributing nation to the world economy. So this is an experience that we had. I will be happy to add on to this, but I would like to listen to other speakers and other experiences, and then perhaps we can sum up. So thank you very much, Vibha, and thank you very much, organizers, for calling me on this. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks. Thanks for your input, and we'll be inviting questions later on. Firstly, let me introduce to the entire uh, I mean, list of speakers I have, and we have very prominent people coming from CSR, from social sector background, development background, as well as from organization like international organization like UNICEF. So it's going to be a really interesting discussion. So let me introduce everyone, and then we'll move forward with our session. So we also have Mr. Sandeep Kumar, who is the head CSR with IndoCount company. And he carries around 25 years of experience with different organizations and their CSR, like Tata Motors, Reliance. And he has also worked with international development agencies like ActionAid and USAID. So we are looking forward to hear you also, sir, on this platform. Then we'll be also having Dr. Dhir Jhingran, who is ex-IAS officer, very experienced, and he has dedicated 2 decades of his service in government department, specializing in primary education policy and program implementation. Right now, he is being introduced on this forum as the founder and executive director of Language and Learning Foundation. So we are gonna to hear from him his experience on primary education policies and how program implementation can be improved through collaborations. We also have Priyanka Singh. She had the CSR for Britannia, and prior to Britannia, she has worked with organizations like NASCOM Foundation and Child Fund, having great experience in children issues and child rights aspects. So looking forward to hear you also, Priyanka, on this platform. We have Faris, who is representing Kotak Education Trust. One thing which is very interesting about Faris is he's very much connected at grassroots level, and we were exploring that what he is going to talk about. Then he simply said that I'll be talking about problems and solutions in India's public education space and how we can improve that. So welcome Faris on this forum. We have Mansi Acharya from UNICEF. Uh, she, uh, she is part of UNICEF Maharashtra team, and she is also contributing in designing program on education in Maharashtra. Uh, we have a very experienced person who has seen the realities on ground, and then he has also contributed in shaping up CSR programs on of NPCI, Subhas Rai. And fortunately, we have worked together, so I know that Subhas carries a lot of experience on education issue. and he has worked with organizations like SDFC Bank, Ajim Premji Foundation, and with Jindal Steel Power. So welcome all of you, and we look ahead for a very enriching discussion with all of you. So moving ahead, I'll
Amit,
invite.
I'm sorry, I need to add one more person because not supposed to come, but she finally made it because you know how it is. When you have the passion, you do anything to make sure you're part of a conversation with such amazing experts that you just mentioned about. So I just want to very quickly add that Dr. Kumar, who is an international reputed futurist in education, not just, talking of today's days and problem, but is really working in the future for the future as well. And she's been doing work in not only urban, but also 30 villages of Maharashtra, a very special project. So we get to really understand problems right from there, right? And she has 2 PhDs and one, obviously, numerous awards and international awards as well. So thank you very much, Dr. Kumi, for making a special effort to be here with us. Yeah. Amit,
Thank
over
you.
back
Yeah,
to
it's
you.
really nice. Yeah,
Back to you.
yeah,
Back to yeah.
yeah. So
Thank you, Karen.
today, yeah, welcome.
Yeah. Great.
So
Go ahead, Amit, please.
yeah, so I request Sandeep sir to share some light on how we can really improve the scenario of quality education in India, especially in the public education domain, and how our innovation, our technology intervention, and our collaborative effort can be a game changer in this particular space. Though Sandeep sir is traveling, but he was kind enough to join on this call to share his experience. So over to you, Sandeep
Another
sir.
passionate person.
Thanks.
See, making the time.
Which is, to me, it's like a lifetime opportunity for all of us and people like us to make a difference to the world where a lot of things is required to be done. The world is moving at a greater speed, and we are, large part of our country, as Neeraj has very clearly showed that with the data and all, how things are happening and moving. So the remoteness is something which is of a great problem which we all are facing. Having been working in the field for last 20, 30 years almost, Amit said 25. I have completed, 30 years. So length and breadth of the country across. I've been seeing this. Once you go a little ahead of a city or a urban space, it becomes a problem for everyone to move and connect both, because you don't have network connectivity, you do not have very good roads, and there are remote areas which are located in very, very difficult situation, and large number of people are staying in those areas. So how do we deal with this problem? So there has to be something which will bridge this gap, which needs to be worked out accordingly to the local situation, because local situations are very different. You cannot have one straight jacket approach which is supposed to be done for entire India. It is very, very difficult. It is very different. It's very diversified. Everywhere things are required in a different way. And that's where the role of big organizations and corporates as well as government has to come together, and the NGOs to take this, the intervention to that level, to the doorstep of the community we are talking about. Large part of this network of people who are staying in those areas are still unreached, and that's where we are all talking about. We are the youngest country in the world. So demographic dividend we are talking about, if we are not able to address the issues related with the basic level of education to large number of population, how can we get that demographic dividend in future? And futuristic skills are very important. Today, a 10th pass guy who has a vocational stream and understands the thing does much more better than many of the other guys. And earns his livelihood, earns his income, have a good, respectable life in the society. So those things are changing very fast. We cannot go with that approach which used to be there 20 years back, that आपको बच्चे को पढ़ाना ही है till 12th. No, today the world is different. You need skills, and I want to focus on three buckets of very, very important, which is there for educating India. One, the whole problem of malnutrition in 0 to 5 years of period of the child, where it is creating a lot of problem for the child. When it grows into adult, he or she will not be at the same level because of the problem they face in 0 to 5 years of their life. We have to address this challenge very strongly, very, very carefully, and with a very meaningful contribution in that space. Because once that is done, the Anganwadi network, which is there in India, which is the largest type of a program in the world, will take care of many of these problems, but it has to be equally supported by many people, which is required there. Because this part, if it is missed for the life. The child will not grow into a good, mind level when this guy becomes young and in productive age group. So that is one that is required. Second, the digital literacy has to be increased manifold, and it has to reach out to large number. They are exposed to digital means of communication, but not for the purpose of education. It is a purpose for their entertainment that is happening because of the outreach of the internet companies and all across London, the country. So there has to be a very, very focused approach on that. How do we create digital learning tools which reaches out to large number of youth at their doorstep? That can be a very good game changer. Third, very, very important in this productive age of, in the period of, say, till the class 12, the youth or the student don't get an opportunity to play their natural talent games. There are various games which are available today, which is getting a lot of professionals, level of standards. People want that, but there are no opportunity for them to get into that level. So I remember this.
Oh dear. I think he's traveling, so
Sorry, is it somebody's talking about something?
Yeah, your voice is breaking,
I
sir.
hope.
maybe you can switch off
Okay.
the video. Yeah, switch off the video.
Yeah.
You'll get more. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Please continue.
Yes. Okay. Now it's better. Hello?
Yes, sir. Please continue.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Okay. So I was talking about experience of my working with Tatas at Jamshedpur, and this was a legacy of Tatas in Jamshedpur, that they had always, promoted sports at a very, very basic level, so that organizations like Tata Football Academy and all can come. So sports has a lot of meaning today in terms of professional life, and also has a income potential and a good life to lead. That is something which needs to be inculcated at that level. Otherwise, though, everybody play whatever they want to play. But there are many professionals who needs to be, we have to catch them young at that level and then give them space to grow in that space. That is something very, very important part of the education system also, because a good sportsman will always be, very, very disciplined, and it will help her or him to, find their way out in meeting their lifelong objectives. That's always very, very helpful. So sports has to be promoted in a big way. Third point that I want to talk about and stress on, which is very important, and that's what I have found. All these government schools or government aided schools in remote areas, their standards are very bad. The infrastructure is very bad. Leave apart standards and infrastructure, if the basic facility of safe drinking water and toilets are not there, how can you think about something which is meaningful? A lot of students are not attending school because of the problem they're facing because of these two problems, which affect their health. So there is a absenteeism which is increasing manyfold, and that leads to a situation where they are not being exposed to good education system. Even if everything is there, they are not able to come. Sorry, that's that's an area where we have to work very diligently. And I have seen in my experience in current organization for the last 4 years, we've been working in this kind of schools, the government schools, and we have seen multifold increase in everything, including their academic performance and discipline and everything, which is monitored very closely. 150 schools we are working with, and there is a difference which has come, and there is a lot of energy which you can see student to get acquainted with what is happening around the globe and how do they develop themselves into that kind of roles in future. That is something which needs to be taught to them, because in remote areas the dream of the student will be as big only to the limit of finding a small government job or a petty shop or anything else which is there. Unless and until he or she is guided properly and taken through a process, this will not improve. We have to work on that level also. And finally, I want to say this that you know we are facing the biggest challenge of this global level challenges in our life, which is climate change. For climate change, the small little things that has to be done on the environment part has to be inculcated in the minds of these students at this basic level. This has to be part and parcel of their curriculum, and also to be practiced every day in their life. Unless and until we do this, the generation, when they grow, they'll not be sensitized enough to take care of this problem. This is a very, very important part which has to be builded in within the the curriculum or the process which has to be followed. These are the things, 3, 4 things I could take very quickly on my mind, because this comes from the experience, and I'm sharing the 30 years of my experience of working in the field with the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Mr. Sandeep. I think, like you said, you're talking not just from a theoretical, but actually the experience on the ground and so many years of that experience. And all those points, we will touch on them in a very short while. Thank you so very much. I'm now going to invite, Mr. Fariz Pantaki, who's the project head of Kotak Education Foundation, to join me. Because as Amit, when he was introducing, said that the main thing he wanted to talk about was about challenges. And, we are still on the challenges because we want to make sure we are addressing exactly those issues and having that really upfront so that we can all be talking about that as we continue the conversations. Yeah, so Farid, you've been working, almost exclusively with people, with schools on the ground, and your work is related to really building capacity, right? It's not just the students, you look at the whole school. I mean, literally, that's what you'll do. So maybe you could tell us, what are these challenges? Like, how do you design these programs, and why do you design it whole school because of what you find on the ground? Please.
Sure. So, I think it's very important I share. I'm often torn in my need to reach the masses and to reach the depth. So I was just going through what Ashwini, Neeraj, and Sandeep have said, and we understand that majority of children are not able to get through with basic education, and I was just doing my study on. So we are running 2 separate projects. I just briefly in 1 minute tell you what we are doing. We are doing basically 2 separate projects. One project is a 5-year project with one school, and we have about 40-50 schools where we run an in-depth project. So each school would be having approximately about 400-500 hours of input each year. So that is one project which is majorly in Bombay. We also have an in-depth project in other parts as model schools projects. And of late, we have started with a project for the masses, which is called as Kotak Kshamata project, where we work with 500 schools together, and we work only with the leadership there. We are not working with the children. And the outcomes are, I mean, Kshamata project is just in its first year, but the other projects we are running for like 10, 12, 15 years, and the results have been, so the results have been basically mixed. We've been working very deeply, and that is the reason why we started expanding and seeing if we can get good people to kind of move fast forward. So coming back, there are two projects. One is, as we put it, inch wide and mile deep. The other is mile wide and inch deep. And the main thing that has worked up is, as Sandeep rightly pointed out, like only about 10% of population of our country is graduate as on today. I mean, I'm talking about 20 plus. And if you look at Indian plutocracy, these 10%, or in fact even top 1%, hold about 50-55% of India's GDP. So what are the drivers of the change? If we can, so my main concern was that when we were talking about, can we define our challenge in education first? So my personal view is that we need to have graduates, because that top 10%, only about graduates are earning about 25,000-30,000 rupees a month. Otherwise, very few people, very few undergraduates would be in the top 3, 4, 5%. I mean, not everybody becomes Dhir by I go with the idea of Sandeep that he said about sports, importance of sports in education, and that physical activity tends to kind of sharpen the mind very heavily. However, again, considering our geography, we do have very limited area available for children in schools, especially in urban slums. Our major work is in urban poverty. Having said that, what are the solutions? Only when we come to a decisive. So if this cohort can kind of come to a small definition of our challenges, then I think we would be able to kind of work in a common line. My major challenge while working with government schools has been I don't know how safe it is to share it over here. There is a general
Very safe,
sense
don't
of
worry.
there is a general sense of lack of accountability. Our financial input in education is like very low. 70% of schools jate hain, but 3% of our GDP is in education. And because of that, that results in a lot of corruption. And it is, see, the thing is that these things need to be seen sensitively rather than blaming and putting an end to it. So if we can just be a bit sensitive towards this and try to just communicate the sense of being of a teacher and why are we a teacher, and that is just what we are actually kind of doing. I don't know, basically I can't claim a result and outcome kind of a thing. Karen was doing our impact analysis, so she would be a better person to say that. But my personal belief system is that if the principal is happy and is motivated and he has got a desire to bring change in the school and in the system, then the chances of growth is very high. Secondly, what are the 4 major drivers of change? So when I'm looking at a future-ready child, my spaces are in 4 areas. One is literacy numeracy. Like a decent 70-80% of 8th graders can't read their grade text. And I'm talking about anywhere. A good 50-60% of population cannot read 2nd grade text. And this despite of, again, not to be quoted, 10 years of input by a Kotak Foundation. This is also a fact. So but even if you bring about 3, 4, 5% change, it's a big change.
Very true, absolutely.
So like made a difference to this one wala space.
Yeah.
Second is we stress a lot on English. So we have created a kind of a program where the television is teaching English to the children, and the program is a huge hit. Even teachers who don't know English can teach English. Communication English. It is only conversational English. It's a 70-hour program. So the point is here, if a child knows English, then his probability of rising above poverty line is over 90% easily. So that is one of our prime focus areas. Third is, as you rightly said, digital mindset. What is the capital of Zimbabwe? I know it for now. If you don't know, we know where we can get it. That mindset. I'll tell you what. 2 months back, 2-3 months back, I changed my apartment, and I had a female coming for interview of a cook in my house. So I was sitting in the bedroom, and my wife was interviewing that female, and she asked him, do you know how to prepare bhakri? Bhakri banane ko aata hai kya? And this 20-something female, she stood and said, आता तो नहीं है, पर मैं YouTube देखकर सीख लूंगी. I shouted from the next, Obama, please hire.
True, very true.
The point I'm trying to bring home is that mindset that I can solve problems through. That is very important. Yeah. And the fourth is leadership. Are we leading ourselves, or are we following our body? Yeah. There are times when we tend to give up on our things. So and these are those things which should come from teachers to the children. It is not just like we go and we put an input and we directly this thing and go over there and 50,000 बच्चों को पप्पी देकर आ गए और
No, very true, Faris, and thank you so much for sharing all these points, because I think your passion can be seen right behind the door. He's been taking notes. I've also been taking notes over here. So really great. Thank you so very much for sharing those points with me. And yeah, I think we've got a lot of material in terms of the challenges. Amit, what do you think? I think it's time for us to start moving towards the capabilities and what are the kind of solutions that people are, kind of really getting on board so that we can solve some of these challenges of whether it is infrastructure, whether it is curriculum, whether it is, as Faris said, whether it's inch deep and a mile wide or the reverse, right? So yes, please, Amit, what do you think and how do we move forward to the capability?
Yeah, so challenges are everywhere. So of course, we need to think through and we need to put our minds into action at how to go ahead with that. So of course, we should move ahead with our capabilities part. And we'll start with Dr. Dhir, who is ex-IS, and he has contributed a lot in education space. So welcome, Dr. Dhir, and we would love to hear from you about your experiences and how to really work together to make things happen, the capabilities we have.
So I'm not sure I'll stick only to capabilities, but I'll definitely try and.
Thank you,
Yes,
Karen,
yes.
for this wonderful opportunity. And it's been really very enlightening to hear the field experiences from all the speakers who are part of this forum today. So before I start, I want to share a very optimistic news for all the field practitioners that today, as you all know, the SR reports have come out, and the positive news is that in the last 10 years, this has shown the highest progress in terms of class 2, class 3, class 4, and class 5 learning levels. And almost like the damages that the COVID period has done, it has somewhat has got reversed in the last 3 years, and we are pretty good. And
So I
very,
think everybody can clap for themselves and pat themselves on the back.
yes, for the
And
efforts
perhaps the
that
right
we are bringing in for all the changes in the system and the learning levels of the kids. And very interesting here to note that is about 57% of the children in the urban and rural areas combined have access to smart devices, which they are using it for some kind of like educational learning. So quite very endearing in terms of hearing these kind of changes happening with the kind of initiatives that we take at the grassroots, at the rural levels. So coming back to the work that we do in Britannia Nutrition Foundation, so largely our work is on malnutrition reduction and anemia reduction. So when we talk about malnutrition, it is basically 0 to 5 age group, which is enrolled in the Anganwadi center, and the children in 6 to 19 who are in basically the primary and the secondary schools. What we believe at Britannia Nutrition Foundation is that malnutrition plays a key role among all the indicators which affect the learning outcome of the children and the overall growth and the growth potential. So we work very diligently with the government machinery, and we work alongside the ICDS model. Here the effort is not to replicate what ICDS is doing, but rather giving a last mile delivery in terms of reaching out to the home of the beneficiary, doing the part of one-to-one counseling, helping the child come out of the SAM status, and also ensuring that the healthy child remains in the healthy status and there's no deviation. It's a very exhaustive work where we cover about like 3 lakh children across the age group. And we work we work painstakingly with all the government functionaries, be it ICDS department or the school primary education and the secondary education. So again, in the secondary education part, in the primary and secondary education part, we focus on anemia reduction, and somewhere our objective is to address the kind of deficiency anemia brings in the learning of the children in terms of like their class participation, in terms of their engagement in the class, how their anemia levels are positively addressed. So here, total about like this initiative takes a lot of effort in terms of working with the government, and thankfully government gives us the opportunity to intervene. Along with that, here I want to also quote very like this data from the government, which says about like the government expenditure, which is like about 3 lakh crore, which is there for the primary education, and 2 lakh crores for the secondary education. Almost 80% of the education of the expenditure goes only in the salaries of the teachers, and rest 18% go to the midday meal scheme, and leftover where is about like 2 to 3%, it has to be spent on the infrastructure development in terms of the teachers training, in terms of elementary education fortification part. And so these are the areas which defines the key learning outcome for the child remains unaddressed. So if you look at the teacher training part itself, it's the total expenditure is just 0.2% of the entire budget, abysmally low. States like Bihar and West Bengal, they don't spend anything at all. Whereas states like Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu spend only about 2 or 1%. So where are we thinking about improving the learning outcomes in the teacher? We are missing the entire piece on the teacher training, the learning pedagogy of the teacher, the teaching learning pedagogy, how a classroom has to be engaged, be engaging for the child so that the child feel interested and is motivated to come to the class every day. So all these ideas and all these things remains unlooked at, and this is where we are intervening. So here I want to share my experience with my previous organization. I was working with IIM Ahmedabad, and one of the CSR partners had a very innovative program in terms of improving the teaching capacities of the teacher in a very engaging and a very in an engaging way in the classroom environment. So first few months, about like 8 to 9 months of the program was delivered through WhatsApp. How WhatsApp has helped us to reach about like 95,000 teachers across the state of Rajasthan, MP, Bihar, and Jharkhand. About 95,000 teachers were getting weekly modules in terms of learning, and they are following it up. And finally, the finest best 50 teachers from each of the states are coming for 5 days immersive training at the institute and learning by the and getting to learn the pedagogical method and the managerial skill one a teachers require to conduct classes at a village or maybe village and the rural level. Very, very interesting. And it has so much of potential in terms of like learning through these smart devices, getting we engaged to the entire period of engagement for about like a year, and then finally coming to an institution like IIM Ahmedabad and getting an idea about how do we really engage the children. So these kind of initiatives in the CSR space, really that kind of innovation only can come from the civil society organization, and we as a convener in terms of bridging the gaps between the government and the innovation and the mobilization efforts of the civil society, we can take up our role. Again, a very interesting CSR practice I want to share here in the space of education, where we have a joint venture between Britannia and Bell Foods, which is one of the biggest cheese makers across Europe. So we have focused on the issue of remedial teaching, especially in the area of education, in the area of English and maths subject, because these are the areas which largely in the rural areas people don't find very good teachers, and sometimes they are there's one teacher who is taking about like 6 classes all together, and you don't have a focused approach in terms of one-to-one learning with the students. So efforts have resulted that in Kavatewadi is one of the talukas in Ranjangaon, where the school themselves has given one of the rooms, one of the very well furnished room to set up this remedial learning center, and where these children after the classes they are coming and they're engaging one-to-one with their teacher in terms of improving their maths and the numeracy and the English speaking skills. So these kind of initiatives takes time. The results are not going to come in a 1 year or a 2-year horizon. It takes about 3 to 5 years to bring about very systematic changes, well at the individual level and also at the level of the community. So where we need as a CSR partners and practitioners, we need to be invested long term to bring about these results. I'm very optimistic that the opportunities the sector is bringing to us, and with our innovative approach, and can make the difference there. So I'm pretty happy about it, like the changes that is occurring. So not to be cynical about the issues that happen, the scale like India, which is so huge, even the government is filling up in terms of giving the midday meal schemes day after day, every day, ensuring things, infrastructures go in places. I think it is a responsibility of the vibrant civil society to fill in the soft requirements of the of education sector by improving the learning outcomes, by engaging, by giving better teacher trainings and investment in like softwares, which helps in the learning and the teaching pedagogy. So this is how I feel, and I shared my experiences.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Priyanka. Do appreciate it. And of course, the passion you come with, because you've seen both sides of it, been part of academia, been part of, on-field projects, and then, of course, being a CSR head and obviously managing CSR project. So thank you very much. Really do appreciate it.
Karen, what I really liked about Priyanka's like sharing, that she has touched upon two extremes of it. One is about nutritional aspect, and the other hand, she is talking about technology. So these two things are definitely, prerequisite if we want to meet our dreams of like a universal elementary education for all children in India. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Priyanka.
Thank you, Karen, Amit, and everyone for helping us like share our experiences with the larger audience. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, Amit. We should now be bringing in, I think
Subhas, we should hear Subhas. So Subhas comes with sort of mix of experience. I have worked very closely with him, so I know that what are I mean his take or his approach to address issue of quality education. And over to you, Subhas. Looking forward to know your experience, learn from it.
So thank you, Amit sir, and thank you, Team Vibha, for organizing this discussion, this roundtable. It was great to hear to all the participants, all the panelists, and Dhir sir especially because he's a practitioner who has worked in all the capacity in terms of being in part of the government and now working from the non-profit side. And all the other seniors, it was really interesting to understand their point of view, challenges, solution they offered. Uh, for me, I would just like to talk about the journey, and my perspective has changed over the year in terms of how to kind of achieve and who are the stakeholder who are really crucial. And as Ashwini ma'am said in the very beginning, that government is very important in all this. Whatever we want to achieve in terms of quality education at a scale, government is the most important stakeholder because still 70% children goes to government school, and so we may have our own criticism for the government, the percentage of money they spent on education and everything, and the challenges faced when you go to the interiors. Somewhere you find one teacher in a school, somewhere you find that there are two teacher, and if they have some other duties like elections or some document submission, there will be no teacher in the school. So we are struggling with such situations all across India. Uh, when I had joined Azim Premji Foundation, I was there in a remote district of Rajasthan called Rasaman. So there I met a teacher who was a government teacher who was teaching English, and in his own unique way, during 2015 he was using YouTube and he was using all the audiovisual mediums, and the children were speaking very fluent English. Uh, though English is not something which defines the quality education, it's just another language. Still, it was good, surprising that a government teacher is taking such initiative. And I'm sure there are multiple government teachers who want to have this kind of initiative, and some of them are taking this initiative. Many a times when we equip them, we give them this access, then it becomes multifold. But certainly, I mean, as Priyanka said that ASER report has come and it is showing tremendous result in terms of learning level in class 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, and 5. So that way, government education system is our hope because that is what is serving the larger, larger population, and there is no denying to the fact. When it comes to how to improve things from the CSR point of view, it's very important that wherever we work, we have to work long term, as other members were also saying that there are challenges related to CSR rules that you can work at max 4 years, but at the same time you can continue being there if you get approved your project in different phases, and that way you can remain in that particular area for a longer period, and you can implement your project in different phases, and even if one phase has completed, you can have oversight on those projects as well, so that you're just not implementing a project and leaving, or whatever, equipping a school and leaving, but you are having the oversight that how things are emerging, how things are changing, that kind of things can be done. We are doing multiple education project because I'm very interested in education, and education is a key I mean, catalyst of education can bring a multifold of change. That is, I mean, that's our common belief, I believe. There is a one project which we are doing here, school transformation project, which we are doing with Learning Links Foundation. It's a Delhi-based organization, but it's present all across India. So we are doing it in two of the aspirational district of Maharashtra. One is Gadchiroli and other is Wasim in 250 schools. And this project has already completed 3 years. It's going into fourth year, and we are continuing in all these schools in different phases. And this project is about equipping schools because it's also about making coming to school aspirational for children and also for teachers. And we have seen the change in terms of not only children but also teachers. That how when we visit to the field and interact with them, how they are also very enthusiastic about these changes and what are the changes. We have done very small changes in terms of infrastructure and in terms of teachers training, students training, training of SMC and training of community to bring everyone together, kind of. And what are the facilities we have created? We have equipped the schools with a smart classroom, with CAN, which is in line with the state curriculum. And also there is a library establishment. There is a focused, I mean, as per the curriculum, STEM lab is also there. Then, as somebody said, that the basic things like drinking water facilities are not there, so RO system has been established there. And then the toilets have been repaired, and wherever it's not in a usable condition, we have made it usable and connected it to the water. Sports has been given importance by establishing sustainable playground, which is being made with used tires and rods. So that has been done through a different organization, Antil Creations. So we are working with NGOs in a way that we stay in that same place, same district for a longer time, and keep on working with the stakeholder. And this thing should be this whatever initiative we have taken in the school, it should become part of the function of the school. They should become part of their own. It should no longer be like a particular CSR has given it, so we are using it or not using it. The team is also there to guide, to maintain, to help them maintain, to also see how utilization can be improved. And whenever I go to school, teachers will say, "Sir, children are also knowing how to operate this smart classroom." So I mean, they are also taking the joy in acknowledging that this has bring some change, and it's not just because I'm there and just they want to please me. Because I mean, ultimately, even if they don't say anything about it, it's fine. I'm not going to change anything. I'm not going to say that remove this, we will not work here. That is not how CSR works or any organization should work. But it's coming from a genuine place while interacting with teachers, and they are also bringing a lot of effort in terms of renovating the school and also adding few things. Recently, I mean, during last chief minister's time in Maharashtra, they also had this chief minister Majhi Sala initiative, uh, which is kind of encouraging school to perform better. They are measuring schools success and awarding them, rewarding them. So it's also changing things because at the ground, because they are now prepared for it. They have some encouragement also at a place that okay, if we perform in this way, if our school has this facilities, then I am getting rewarded, I am getting recognized. So it's also very, very important that at all level, I believe, at a teacher's level, at a student's level, community level, SMC level, a pattern to encourage, to positively, recognize the fact that there are challenges, and then within that challenges, you have to find the silver lining, and you have to encourage all the stakeholders, bring them together, and do the changes at the unit level, and make that unit as bigger as you can. Like we are a very small organization when it comes to CSR funding, around 25 crores we have. But this one project overall costing us 25 crores. And our CSR committee is understanding enough, and they are investing in this in a long term. So I think initiative like this will go a long way in ensuring that government also sees how, one more instance I would just quote that
Subhash,
recently a
I'm
private.
sorry, I'm going to come in over here.
Sure, ma'am.
We're not realizing how time flies. So we
Oh,
do need
sorry.
to finish a little bit
Yeah, yeah,
more.
yeah. I'll
But,
just conclude. I'll just
we will.
conclude. Give me a two
Absolutely.
minutes.
Absolutely. Please go
So
ahead.
recently, we always compare private and government school and how private schools are better than government school. Though no that data has suggested that because we are doing all the assessment and everything in government schools, but I don't think similar assessment has been done in most of the private schools. I'm not talking about the big ones, but there are a lot of mushrooms of private schools, and I don't think there has been much of a debate about that. So that's for another day. But recently, in one of our intervention school in Gadchiroli, private school teachers came and they were like kind of interacting with our school children and seeing how the smart class work, how
Amazing.
library is working, science lab is working, and all such things. So it was a happy moment for us that okay, that twinning kind of thing that they also want to
Absolutely.
learn from us. So that
Very
is a good thing. And when I say us, it's not NPCI. It's just that a school, that particular school, that is important. NPCI is not important. It's the children who are studying there. It's a teacher who are teaching there. They are important, and they can make a greater difference. We can just support them, and we can just be thoughtful about our utilization of our whatever fund we have in a way
beautiful.
that can create a positive change. So yeah,
Great. Thank you. Yes.
there are
Thank you
a lot
so
of
much.
things to say, but I would conclude it here.
Yes.
And yes, it was
Thank you.
good.
Really
Yes, yes.
appreciate your inputs.
Thank,
And yes, thank you. Bye-bye.
thank you,
I
ma'am.
think now we should move to the collaboration piece because, we've spoken of challenges. We've spoken about the kind of capabilities we have, and we really need to have solutions around collaboration. And, to do that, I am going to request and have Dr. Kumi Vivanya, who not just is a futurist educator, as I said, but also, Kumi, if I could request you to please turn on your video because I can't bring you on stage unless I can't
I'm here.
spotlight.
It's
Yeah.
on. It's on.
Yes. Okay, great. All right. If your video is on, then I can bring you in and get you here. Okay. Oh, I don't see you. Yes, now I can. Thank you. All right. And so, yeah, Dr. Kumi, among so many things that she does, also is the convener of the global tipping point summit, which is for educators, and that really shows her power of believing in the collective and the power of convening. So Dr. Kumi, if you can help us understand a little bit, what is it that is there in terms of the opportunities to collaborate, and of course, how do you bring collective action together to make things really change? So over to you, please.
Thank you very much, Karen. Thank you for the invitation. It was very, very interesting for me to listen to all of you, but I don't speak your language. I'm not a CSR person. I'm not attached to any corporate. I don't have funds. I have zero funding. We just get it from donors and we just bash on in majesty year after year. So thank you very much. But what I genuinely feel is that we are all doing very important work as individual organizations. But now is a time when we need to really pool in all our strengths and work in genuinely collaborative ways. And this is what I'm personally looking for. Where did all this start? I've been working as a head of the department of Bombay University, English department. And as Karen said, also in the education department, I have 2 PhDs. But my passion has been with both literature and education. Post-retirement, I started what Karen called she just informed you, the Global Tipping Point Summit, which brings together educators from all over the world to really brainstorm solutions to current education everywhere, but predominantly in India. And the Global Tipping Point Summit, the tagline of it is from words to action. So we have action projects, and from the time we started in 2020 to now, we've concluded 21 action projects. Now, what is my main concern? Our main concern is to address the issue of school dropouts in India and abroad, because that is a sheer waste of resources. Apart from all the other problems that come with it, there is so much of wastage there. There is so much of talent. So what we set out doing is to dream up ways in which we could bring quality education and get students really interested in education in one way or the other. So socio-economic factors are very, very real. And the government and NGOs and all are doing an amazing job of that. But what can be our contribution as educationists? As educationists, we can transform mindsets of educators, management, policymakers, and most importantly, bring joy and curiosity back into education. Now, how do we go about doing this? Our aim is through innovative teaching pedagogy, number one, and number two, through very, very interesting new assessment techniques. Now, we know that our assessment techniques have to change. Today, if we tell our students to do an essay, ChatGPT will do it for them. So I'm someone who is never against any kind of technology. I love technology. I use it myself, encourage teachers to use it. But our methods have to change, just as we changed from a Nokia phone to a smartphone. We need to change our teaching and the way we approach our students. So there is so much of need to take the SDGs seriously. But the SDGs, in my opinion, can only be actualized if we also focus on the IDGs, the inner development goals. So what we aim to do is to focus on inner development for outer development for global development. When it comes to teacher training, we focus on two important issues. How do you ensure academic excellence? By academic excellence, we do not mean only a mastery of content. All of us here know that 85% of the jobs which will exist in 2030 are not even dreamt of just now. So what are we preparing our children for? We need to focus on competencies more than content, because as some of our speakers said, content can be had at the flick of a button. We need to create in them the ability to have great change orientation, basically a growth mindset. And these should be our focus areas rather than the antique ways in which we have been assessing them. So yes, academic excellence is important. And the 5 verticals of GCED, Global Citizenship Education, are very, very powerful. People, planet, peace, prosperity, and partnerships. They all need to be interwoven into our daily regular teaching, as do the SEL, the social, emotional, and ethical competencies. These cannot be something extraneous. Now, the NEP, the United Nations, they all insist that we should be weaving in SEL into our daily teaching. But there is no infrastructure. Teachers do not know how to do it. It's like saying, don't worry, I want you to teach swimming, but if you don't know swimming, you can read 17 books and go and swim and teach them swimming. It's as absurd as that. So we really need to upskill teachers and mainly work with them. So we do not have a one-size-fits-all kind of program. We tailor-make the programs and we work with the teachers. We don't see ourselves as mentoring teachers way above the level of the teachers. No, we are here to understand the problems of the teachers and to work with them. So, as I said, how do we really make our teaching interesting? We make our teaching interesting through very, very innovative pedagogies. Technopurses, a pedagogy that I innovated in 2013 and which was initially supported by Mr. Ratan Tata. I taught it to several of the principals in Tata Nagar, etc. And I've been disseminating this nationally, internationally, in urban areas as well as rural areas. Today, we have 30 villages which have adopted this technology, this pedagogy of teaching. It's a very, very simple pedagogy which shifts the mindset of the learner in a very, very seamless manner from a self versus other consciousness. So it doesn't have to be me versus Karen. There are thousands of things which Karen knows and I have no clue about. She's talking about systems and she's talking about PICO and whatever else, which are new words to me. So more than being caught in a competitive mindset, we need to work on genuine collaboration with the industry. Educationists need to work with the industry. And that is why we try to reach out to as many industry partners as possible. So technopoesis changes the mindset from a self versus other to a self and other to an all is self-consciousness. Again, something which is now proven by quantum physics. So how do we do that in the class? A very simple 5-step process, but I won't bore you with that as of now.
I was just going to say that, Kumi.
Yeah,
really,
yeah,
really
exactly. So we also bring in ABL, art-based teaching, NBL, nature-based teaching, TBL, thinking-based teaching, and basically make studies experiential so that it becomes relevant and students remain in the class and they enjoy being in the class. Yeah. So if any of these ideas interest you, I would love to collaborate. I would love to take this conversation further. Thank you, Karen, and thanks to everyone.
Thank you so much, Kumi. Absolutely, the call for collaboration has to be strong and loud for everyone to kind of come together. So thank you for offering that. Thank you for explaining that. And of course, we will talk soon. You also mentioned about the United Nations, and I think that's such an important piece. And I'm so glad that we have someone from UNICEF who's going to be able to tell us, how does the UN play a role? How does UNICEF, really play a role, bringing different kind of partners together, different stakeholders together to really make this happen. So thank you so much, Kumi. And Amit, may I call you to come back?
Yeah, sure, Karen. Thanks, Kumi, for your insights. It is really interesting, and we'll definitely connect over that also. So, yeah, in the given context, when we are talking about, various aspects of the public education in India, one thing which is of so much of importance is like, where are we in terms of our commitments to SDG? And when it comes to SDG, then it is something which is common for all of us. And therefore, it also gives an opportunity to collaborate in a way that we can contribute to the national goals. We have Mansi with us from UNICEF, and all of you know that UNICEF has not only been the knowledge agency, they have been good connector also all across. I mean, all across globe, you can see that, and even in India, they have been very proactive in bringing stakeholders together to bring knowledge also in the Indian context. And they have also provided so much of knowledge sharing has been done by UNICEF to guide all of us in achieving those targets in a very result-oriented manner. So I'd like to invite Manasi to share about what UNICEF is doing to ensure quality education for all children in India, and at the same time, how we can move ahead for collaboration with more collaborative efforts toward achieving the goal, SDG goals.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I've been listening and learning from all the speakers, and which has been further strengthen my passion to continue working in the sector and working for education, I say. So I'll quickly talk about what UNICEF is broadly doing. We all basically know what SDGs are and how we are aligning. I think most of us are aligning to that goal. But UNICEF works collaborates with governments, majorly governments, NGOs, and private sector to ensure quality education for all children. So there are certain 2-3 areas. UNICEF works on multi-stakeholder partnerships that aligns with government and education policies, like supporting Nipun Bharat mission on FLN, as well as aligning different projects with Samagra Shiksha and NEP to ensure inclusive and quality education. Also, major chunk of work is also done on gender responsive and inclusive education through STEM, Meena Raju Manches, activating those those activities and programs in the schools, rural as well as urban, and from KGBVs. Also providing another space of area that UNICEF is working is also supporting in disaster prone areas, where ensuring continuous learning, there is no stop or halt of learning. So be it valuing technical support or curriculum changes or temporary shelters and so on. Other private public partnerships also engaging with corporates and local governments, where and NGOs, where enhancing learning outcomes, student learning outcomes and goals, where ma'am also spoke about innovative technology and learning practices as well. So these are mota things that UNICEF is doing, and it trickle downs to state as well as different districts that UNICEF is working. I want to bring on focus on gender responsive and inclusive educations that I think apart from everyone, I think not spoken about. So I will focus on that. As we know, ma'am already touched upon that there are many challenges in this space of inclusivity and gender when we talk of while we talk of education from primary, secondary till this and this goes at all levels of stakeholders, that is connected with the child, from peers to parents and teachers, education functionaries and administration. So we are also working with the pre-service cadre of the education system, which is the D8 students who are going to step into the teachers role, where these mindset shifts can happen. Like Kumi ma'am exactly pointed out what even I wanted to talk upon. There is so much lack of conversations around emotional learning and as well as mental health well-being of students. These conversations are actually there in the schools but are not functional. So like listed challenges that certain things are on paper but not on are functional. So collectively I wanted to say that these things are already there. There are teachers, there are programs that governments are already running. There are existing systems that are already enriched. Teachers are giving out of work times. There are leaders sitting that want to drive change along with the students. There are CEOs who are directly connected with the students to have dialogues that what is happening in the communities, what is happening in villages and things like that. There are group of students collectives as well, as we talk of mindset shifts, there are students who have these fragile minds where you can quickly talk to them, have these conversations at a early age, through these munches. Like Nina Raju munch is one of the uh, things that we are leveraging on, where we have conversations on transgenders, where we have conversations with students on gender inclusivity, discriminations. So students itself are becoming a greater power to solve these problems within the communities, and identify and map these among the villages, and with the local administrations. They're trying to solve these and come up with this. So collectively leveraging these mindsets are also important, be it NGOs or grassroots level organizations or pan India. So these mindsets are not going to be across. It is going to take time. The map is going to look very different. It is not going to be linear. It will shoot up in some places, it will go down in some places because of administration or politics or other party involvements. So working on those programs that have come to stand stop, which are already existing, and not creating parallel programs that actually are building pressure on teachers training, or building strain on knowledge building as well. So I think whatever is already there, localized solutions, that NGOs have deep understanding of the local context, CSR has developed an understanding of the area. So those localized solutions will also help in bringing and leveraging these activities of the government, as well as whatever is innovations have come up from the CSR as well. Also, not just going there, stepping in and working and getting out, but also strengthening these systems, like Dhir sir was also talking about. So strengthening these systems are also very important. That's why UNICEF is also engaging, like I said, one of the projects with pre-service teachers when they are going in the service departments, also working with education functionaries and district administrations, to ensure that they own the programs, they understand what is going through, connecting them with the child itself, so they know what is going on, having that accountability, so that the conversations, the concepts, all the hard works that every one of us are doing sustain actually, and then they take it forward. So we can't be doing it every time, taking a spoon feeding it. There has to be a way that comes through the communities, that comes through the local students and people.
Aptly said, aptly,
Yeah.
very apt, Manasi. I think whatever was left, I mean, and there were few things which are very close to my heart, like the inclusiveness part, or even the psychosocial issues which you talk about. Those kind of things are essentially required when we are talking about public education system. And I'm amazed to see, I mean, the kind of perspective which has come in today, right from Neeraj sir to Manasi. I mean, all the experts, the way you have shared your views on and your experiences, it's really amazing. So, Karen, I request you to take us forward in this.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mansi. Really appreciate. And of course, we've been partnering with UNICEF for the past 5 years. So really happy to continue that relationship. Yeah, thank you. Amit, I did promise Fariz that I will get him in. So I am going to do that. We are, of course, running out of time. I mean, if we don't keep our word, then, what do we expect of others? So Fariz, I am going to bring you in real quick over here. And of course, yes, as I said, I promised. Okay. And yeah, I would say if anyone has questions, please put it first on the chat box and then we'll try and quickly bring you in. I know we're going to come to the end of our time, but I request everybody, if you don't mind, maybe another 5-10 minutes if we can extend, would really appreciate your patience. Yeah. So, Faris, very quickly, your points.
You're on mute, Farid.
Yeah, hi, thanks. First, Kumi, Vibha, and I don't know, I would like to collaborate with you for conducting a workshop for our uh, beneficiaries here. I was usually impressed with the concept of that mindset, joy, curiosity. This is the area that we are working on majorly. And the main reason why I would want to reach out to you is how do we kind of change our assessment patterns?
But it's
So,
with Kumi later. Now you
yeah.
come up with what was the question you had to ask.
Second, the most important thing is I had a question for Mr. Dhir, Jhingran, whatever. You said somewhere that we do not share the per beneficiary cost with the government. I'm just curious to know why do we not do so? Because basically we do, at least in Kotak Education Foundation, we do share this with the government. Or at least I make it a point to share it for my projects.
No,
Very nice.
that's
Very
great practice. But otherwise, suppose, can you hear me? Suppose we
Yes, sir.
have
Yes, sir.
a grant from a
Can I add one more question to it so that these can take collectively?
Okay, sure. Let's do this. This looks
Yeah,
like
yeah.
another smaller round table within the other round table. So Priyanka,
Yeah, just quickly, I'll just have
yes,
a few lines to
sure.
share.
Yeah.
The initial cost of setting up an education project runs very, very high, and it is somewhere not justified in terms of the per beneficiary cost. So how do we navigate around this?
Very quickly.
Where all the funders and board ask for what is the per beneficiary cost, it is not efficient, and you invest so
Great.
heavily on the education infrastructure.
So quick answer, Dr. Dhir, quick answer. 2 questions, quick answer.
Yeah, I'll just take 30 seconds. The first one, I think the practice of sharing the budget that is sanctioned by a CSR and sharing it transparently with the government is not usual practice, and it's great if you're doing it. I think more people should do it. On the second question from Priyanka, I think the fact that when you work with the government, for us, 90% of the costs are the investment comes from the government, whether it's children's materials, the trainings, the workshops, all of that comes from the government. So we are, as I said, catalysts. So some human resources, a few additional review or workshops, etc. So the unit cost, therefore, isn't that high if we are leveraging government's resources and trying to ensure that through their own schemes like Samagra Shiksha, they do most of the work, and we are trying to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of that. Sorry, short answer.
Can I add?
Appreciate that. Yes, please join us because we're just going to take if you could start your video so I can get you on the spotlight and also quickly.
This is Sandeep, and sorry, my video is not working because I'm traveling.
Okay, fair enough. Go ahead, please go ahead.
Yeah. So the point is that it's not only question of sharing something with the government. It is something the corporates and we all people in the field of education who are trying to bring this change. They all have to create good models of replication because government has enough resources. You do. नहीं, आगे वाले में. आगे वाले. So resources are there. How to use that resources, that's a big area of concern, and that's where the roles of people like us comes. We have to, as big as a country like India, we have to create many models, and as I said, you cannot have one single model which is replicated everywhere. It has to be different models in different regions.
No, thank you for sounding that alarm that one size fits all doesn't work, and I think there is definitely a need for us to look, think, and then accordingly plan ahead. So I think Amit, we've really running out of time. I will leave it to you to summarize and create a way forward for us, and of course encourage collaboration. I think we've already heard about 1 or 2 collaborations. Kumi would like to meet with UNICEF. I can't see Mansi either with her video on. So yeah, if she puts it on, I can bring her in. Otherwise,
I'm here.
I'm
My video is
with you.
on.
So
Oh
in
yeah,
fact, all of us can switch on our videos so that picture
Yes,
can be taken.
I've already taken a picture. Only Mr.
Okay.
Subhash Rai, I'm sorry, Guy, I'm saying. Rai is not there, but his video is not on. But otherwise, I've got everybody. So, Amit, over to you to close. And yes, thank you all very, very much. Truly a pleasure to hear and truly enlightening to hear, I think. Over to you, Amit.
Yeah. Thanks, Karan, and thanks everyone who has joined on this call. It is really enlightening for all of us. I mean, the kind of perspective which came in today, especially to unfold the challenges. Though all of us know broadly that what are the challenges, but when it comes to the finding out the nuances of all the issues in public education sector, then definitely we need to deep dive. And I personally feel that every one of us, I mean, who has been speaking here and who has been like joining and listening to us, all of us are deep diving into this particular issue of improving the quality education delivery for our children in India. So that is something which is really heartwarming and gives us hope to move forward with more energy. So a few takeaways which I have noted down and I'll speak about it. Speakers have already like expressed, like Neeraj sir said rightly, that education should not be seen as a project, but should be seen holistically. It should be seen as how our society is going to grow and all. Sandeep sir definitely has spoken and he has covered so many issues, right from being futuristic in terms of skills, then how we can cater to malnutrition issue. I think this is something which is very relevant. And apart from education, how we can do the personality development by integrating sports and looking into the dreams and aspirations of people. Then Fariz talked about his project and how we should look into uh, seeing things in totality, how we can create some models and how we can promote those. So wonderful contribution from each stakeholder. Of course, Dr. Dhir, I mean, I'm really grateful to you for spending your time with us. Really insightful, right from looking into a very minute thing in the government with CSR and also with the civil society organization, how we can really take forward from here. Uh, of course, we have policies in place. Of course, we have systems in place. But how we can make those systems, policies work in favor of children, that is really very insightful. I wanted to talk more about your session, but given the time limit, I'll move forward. Uh, Moving to what Priyanka raised, I have already liked what she said, right from tapping to the nutritional need of people, our children, to how technology can help them reaching out in much more effective manner. Wonderful insights coming in. And of course, Subhas' experience on ground and the way he see everything in totality. Of course, this will help us in taking the collaboration part more strongly way forward from there. Yeah, and this action learning coming from Dr. Kuhn. I mean, as an educationist, I would like to interact more with you at personal level, because a lot of things which we can do, models can be created around really bringing joy and curiosity among those children. You talked about academic excellence and then growth mindset, how we can inculcate that. Uh, Definitely, this is softer element and much needed in the given context. And of course, Mansi talked about very unique issues in teaching learning space, how we can address to those issues in collaboration. Thank you everyone for your insight, and we look forward to be connected with you to have a similar kind of discussion and insights. At the same time, we look for collaboration also as an organization to learn from each of you and to take this agenda to meet the sustainable development goal for reality for India.
Great.
So really
Thanks.
nice. Thanks everyone, and
Amit.
thanks the attendees and the
Absolutely.
people who have joined. Thanks for
Yeah.
your patience listening. It's really wonderful. to be part of this enriching discussion.
Thank you so much for the
Thank you.
invitation.
Ashwini, any last quick words from you before I close the session? Yeah.
I'm just so amazed with the conversations that we had, the quality of conversations, the depth of it. But what my biggest takeaway is, one, we need to create ownership and accountability within the system. Two, we need to have more conversations like this. Like always, Karen says, conversations lead to a lot of sustainable change that we need in the world. And then three, teachers are our heroes. I mean, if we get them to be motivated enough to take this forward, right? And then we can step back and disappear. Until then, we have to be there and support the teachers and give them the right tools and the right pedagogy. And I am requesting all of us here who have come together to see how we can collaborate together, right? Make this conversation more um, concrete by coming together. So I'm hoping we can take this forward. Thank you all so much for your insightful conversation and help Vibha learn through your
And
experiences. Thank you.
yes, and
Thank
final thanks to Karen for setting up this forum. I mean, I spoke with you earlier, and I have never seen these kind of vibrant online forum. So thanks for creating this.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Amit, for the kind words. And of course, Ashwini for always being a ready partner with us, and Vibha for being a strong partner. So, once again, thank you all very, very much for your time. It's been amazing to
Thanks.
listen to all of you. We look forward to continue these conversations. And yes, please don't forget to log into the Rise Pico World Summit platform. You can have a lot more conversations happening there. There's also mentoring lounges. You can just go in and have a free coaching session. So go enjoy yourself, go learn, go collaborate. That's what it's all about. Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.